I stay with the heat even though I'm a sad boy. You better watch the way you breathe around me for that breath be your last boy.
I've been drinking red boy. I been chopping out these birds, McCoy. No, I bet my rich $1 million 9 months. Overseas, kind of scheme.
We begin this from the point of view of the second years, as they had just returned from a long mission in a nearby pub they were chilling at. They return through Tengen's barrier and enter the school grounds where from a high point they see their first years practicing. "Oh look, Fisher Girl is going off," says Malky. Panda says, "And him, that's Sukuna's vessel, right?" As they talk, they walk down, and it was the same day that we left on last time. Since Gojo is a terrible teacher, they had no choice but to just spar over and over in hopes of figuring out more about themselves. It is a free-for-all though. Yuji ducks and rolls as he avoids a wing strike from Nue and turns around following it as he summons a folder to his hand and throws it like a shuriken, reaching above Nue and turning into a clone that then stomps Shigami's head in. As it screeches, an explosion of electricity shocks the clone, but barely so, as it just shatters since there was no longer any use for it. Nue still continues to crash however, but luckily it is put away as you see Fushiguro grab a sword from his shadow and run at Kugisaki. Kugisaki darts back, firing nail after nail as he dodges some and deflects a few, but the moment he makes his next step, he trips, looking down and seeing a nail detonate cursed energy. Kugisaki then closes in, slamming a toy hammer into his face, while Fushiguro uses the flat side of his blade to hit her in her ribs. But they're both grabbed and yanked away as they're spun around to see each facing a Yuji that pulls back and strikes, sending them flying. But while they're in the air, an extra impact of cursed energy hits the very same spot. They hit the floor but quickly try to get up as the clone Yuji, which went for Fushiguro, disappears, and Yuji notices the three people walking over. Is that a panda? Slowly Kugisaki and Fushiguro get up, confused by this remark, but then Fushiguro gets it as he looks back seeing his senpais. He introduces everyone to them, and after they're all acquainted, Maki asks if they want to join the sister exchange. "What's that?" asks Yuji. "Basically, we're going to be facing the Kyoto team, our sister school, hence the name, Sister Exchange." Kugisaki's surprised. "We're fighting other sorcerers? Oh hell yeah, I'm joining." "Me too." "Yeah man," Yuji says. "By the way, I've been meaning to ask, where's Gojo sensei?" "He's busy. Someone like him doesn't have time to stick around in one place," says Fushiguro. "Should we begin?" Maki and Toge say that they're gonna go change while Panda doesn't need to, and he just sticks around joining them for some special training, but mostly just to train Kugisaki. Crash training. When Maki comes back, she trains Fushiguro in weapons, so that leaves Yuji with Toge. Nice to meet you? Shucker. Right, that's gonna take some getting used to. I wanna just fight, I'm more of a visual learner. Toge nods as he doesn't really mind either and unzips his hood, showing the Inumaki sigil. "Don't move." Yuji suddenly is frozen as Inumaki rushes him, with Yuji taking note of his speed right as he suckered across the face and the freezing effect would break. "You touched me. Sorry, but I can kinda do the same thing." Toge freezes in place as he's then kicked in the stomach and a combo follows up, whamming into him repeatedly until 12 seconds have passed and he's catching his breath as Yuji backs off for now. "Takana." "Yeah, I mean, even I can tell you're pissed, but it is a fight. I mean, you want to continue?" "Shucker." He responds with a nod, using this word as well, so the sparring continues. It's just that he hated being whammed on because Yuji's like a physical beast. The next day, they ramped things up, so they were feeling pretty parched, and so the juniors went to get some drinks for themselves and their seniors. Whilst they do so, however, two people approach them. "Huh? Zenny-senpai." Fushiguro, isn't it what you call Maki? Just call me Mai, okay?" Kugisaki says, "You're Maki-senpai's sister. Twin, I assume." "Enough of all this coddling. Hey you're Yuji Dodori, right?" "Oh yeah, sup?" Mai giggles surprise. "So you're the vessel of that curse? To think you're calling yourself a sorcerer, you barely pass as human." Kugisaki and Fushiguro get extremely pissed on his behalf as they barely manage to contain it, but Yuji just smiles. "Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I brought this upon myself, but I just gotta find a way to kill this Sukuna guy without killing myself." Such a declaration surprises them as Sukuna is known as an absolute monster, and to think that one other than Gojo could even rival him is not only arrogant but stupid. But it excites Sukuna, who grins in his palace when he then turns surprised when he sees Yuji's innate domain grow once again. Just then, Toto, revved up by his determination, rips off his shirt and with a wide grin asks what his type is. Obviously, this is bizarre, but Yuji answers, I mean, I wouldn't mind a tall girl with a fat ass. Like, oh yeah, Jennifer Lawrence. Why are you crying? Oh my god, it seems we're best friends. Everyone just gazes at him, weirded out, completely just baffled that someone like Toto functions the way he does. And after getting his answer, however, at least he decides to pack up and leave, saying that they will resolve all of this during the actual exchange. Wait, I'm not done yet, Mai says. I don't care. There's a meet and greet happening with Takada-chan soon. So do what you want, but I'm going. Mai would juggle her choices here and realizes that she's cooked if she stays, so she starts following Toto only to see Maki, Panda, and Inumaki. She glares at her sister like the scum of the earth before smirking as they pass one another. Didn't see you there. Yeah, you don't have much presence yourself, brat, Maki says. Well, that was weird, says Yuji. I just answered honestly, okay? Kugisaki says, yeah, I expected more from you, Itadori. What? Fushy girl, back me up here. I'm not getting involved in this. Days later, Yuji is then called to see Gojo for a mission. So he heads to the room, which as he opens up, allows him to see Gojo and Nanami. Hey sensei, so what's this mission about? Well, first off, that's what you're gonna find out. With the help of Nanami Kento, he's the most straight-laced sorcerer I know. Yuji responds, that's rare, right? Extremely. Can you not use me as a measuring stick? Asked Nanami. As he's told you, I'm Nanami Kento. I believe it's best to probably greet each other. As he bows completely 90 degrees, so does Yuji, though he was a bit caught off guard by how indeed straight-laced this guy is, and he asks why he even became a sorcerer, because he looks very competent. I chose the lesser of two evils. A few more days pass, and we're going to follow Junpei Yoshino. Young Junpei takes another break from school as he walks down the street aimlessly when he finds his teacher Satomura sitting nearby. His teacher takes notice of him. Yoshino! Sensei, what are you doing here? He stands wiping the sweat off his brow and inquires as to why Junpei's been missing school lately. Your friends have a funeral coming up. Whew, it's hot out here. My friends? You know who. As he utters their names, Junpei's eyes narrow and fill with anger. The teacher started naming his bullies as casually as saying anything. Whether he was choosing to be ignorant or just dumb ran through Junpei's mind, and he only felt one response was appropriate as he began to raise his hand into a sign. I oughta curse this bat. Looking up and to the side, both he and the teacher are distracted, seeing Yuji in the air. But while Junpei can see the flathead in his arms, Satomura cannot, and Yuji takes notice right as he crashes past them and rolls, slamming his head into a lamppost. Shit, ow! Damn, give me a second. Oh god, that hurt. Satomura asks him not to interrupt them and to go about his business, but Yuji doesn't care and pantses him before running off, making the out-of-shape teacher finally exercise for once. Junpei is completely taken off guard, but he's more surprised when Yuji calls from him from behind. Wait, weren't you just... I'm fast. I'm known for that. Hey, so you're a sorcerer, right? Junpei is startled, but he remains calm, asking why. Yuji simply replies that he wants to ask him a few things. Besides, that guy was being annoying. He wouldn't stop talking. This is a better alternative, right? Yeah. I'm Junpei. Itadori Yuji. As they talk and walk to a nearby underpass, while they chat, the sun had begun to set. Yuji talked a bit with them about, well, just interests. They got pretty close over their love of terrible movies. Meanwhile, Nanami faced Mahito, and eventually Yuji returned to their base and started healing him because obviously he got hurt. Next time, tell me. Were it not, thanks to you, I'm still alive. Ichichi on standby asked if the healing would take long, but Yuji pulled back his hand saying he was done. Nanami checks himself, finding not even a scar, which is extremely shocking as he was told he only recently unlocked it. It's not that hard when I get used to it. I use my technique to freeze and isolate the injured area so I can heal them better. And the use of your technique, asked Nanami. I mean, same use, just different application. And this is gonna be the one time that I explain Yuji's technique, so listen closely because he'll be doing things and using different applications, but he's not using new abilities. He's just using the same power in very creative ways. This is gonna take a while, so hang on to your butts. His technique is called save, and has 3 parts to it: save, copy, archive. By touching a sorcerer through any part of his body, including cursed energy, since cursed energy is a physical energy, Yuji can either freeze them or place them and lock them in a folder. However, simply freezing them only works for 12 seconds, but if one has great enough cursed energy control, they can break out in 6 or 3 seconds. However, if your overall cursed energy is larger than his, you cannot be put in a folder at all, and you will only be frozen. The folder is a physical object and can be interacted with, as its physical weight is only adequate to whatever the person trapped in weighed in their true form. But this can be taken care of with a binding vow, and also Yuji's just freakishly strong, so it doesn't matter. I mean, he threw a car. And when you're frozen, you can only use your cursed energy, but with great difficulty. But when you're saved in the folder, you are in a state of limbo. If you're human or anything with a brain, while the brain stays active, your nervous system stops interacting with it, so the archive can analyze you. Copy, as it is described, is usually being able to copy objects or organic objects that he's archived. This includes techniques, by the way. If he makes 2 clones of himself, however, it will trickle down in strength in proportion to the fraction at which he did it. And in exchange, as mentioned, he gains far more control over cursed energy, like when he fought the finger bearer. That wasn't just like because he was near death. I mean, it was, but he also just had way more great energy because it was a stressful situation and the binding vow activated. Yuji only uses his copy reserves to create those clones to lessen the burden, by the way. And finally, archive. You might be wondering where all this information goes. No, it doesn't actually all go to his brain. It goes to a pocket dimension connected to his brain. It's a literal black box, but it has a capacity. That's why he uses his copy to create another version of it, holding reserves of cursed energy matching the original. The original can hold multiple things and analyze the others, just cycling through stuff, while some just hold cursed energy. He can actually make as many as he wants, especially the ones that copy his reserves. He uses his own reserve to make an exact copy, but this leaves the original first empty. However, it just refills over time, so a binding vow was possible to be made, canceling out the recovery time needed, so he loses no energy making such copies on the spot. In exchange, he wouldn't archive anything for 3 days after doing this, because that's just fair takeaway. And also, the archive, as I've described, analyzes objects and people. Without it analyzing things, copies cannot be made, and the time it takes depends on the complexity of the person or object. Fushiguro summoned dogs, so he was able to copy the dogs, but he wouldn't be able to copy the 10 Shadows technique instantly, only because he'd have to keep Fushiguro trapped in his black box for a while, and that's kind of torture, and 2, because it's a complex technique. It would take 3 days exactly to be able to use it, and after Fushiguro is out, Yuji wouldn't have to put him back in. Now, I'll explain the physical form of some things that he produces, and their interaction with the archive if they're human or cursed, or otherwise. The folders he creates are physical and very much real, but become abstract when you put them in his pocket dimension, his black box. But it can be interacted with and broken only from the inside due to a binding vow, making them alike to cursed objects. When it's manifested, it perpetually floats, never being able to touch the ground. It can be grabbed and thrown as shown, and its form naturally lets it be used as a weapon and can actually strike people and do damage. Being hit by it applies about a force of 100 pounds and has the same density as bulletproof glass, which is why I always say it's shattering when it's kind of like letting something out and when something's being released from it. As a side note, Yuji cannot, for example, change its size at all. It will always be the same size, but keep the floating thing in mind. And another thing, the taking humans into the archive, much like Kenjaku, is possible. Like not you know what I'm talking about. Being able to replicate their brains and stuff like that is possible. He can extract someone's cursed energy and like their flow and technique, and like Yuta can copy them. But to use the entire technique, he needs to have the person or that person's brain in his archive for a while before he can like truly use it. Like I said with the Megumi thing, if he had Megumi in his, his shit. Copying a Shikigami is different because the 10 Shadows technique is simple but overpowered as a technique. But to use, for example, Surejuho, he needs to have Kugisaki in his archive and he can't use it at all. You know what? Let's say that he can't use techniques at all unless he has people in there and then he eventually replicates their brains, and just keep it at that. I was going to go on a whole spiel, but yeah. While he can copy her curse technique, like he can't really like... He could copy how she levitates her nails and how she can strike the soul and see the contours of it as well. So he doesn't need it after a while to keep using the same abilities over and over. But again, he's not going to do it because it's very immoral, because you're basically trapping someone in a prison, even if they're not aware of it because they're like stuck in limbo. But like that's basically lobotomizing them for a few moments or days or weeks. Anyway, next day, we see Yuji jumping from building to building, heading towards Junpei's school before he then steps on air, summoning a folder he uses to propel himself forward. Eventually, he lands right before the school, deactivates it, the technique, and runs past a barrier. This was planned from the beginning. As he utters this, he makes his way past the gym, way to the gym, and slides the doors open. Junpei, Junpei, what are you doing? A mouth slits open on his face. Oh, what a conundrum, you brat. Yuji forcefully closes the mouth with just cursed energy to restrict his soul. Shut up. Junpei, let's talk about this. This doesn't concern you, Jujutsushi. As his face turns pale, Yuji realizes that Junpei might be too far gone, so he needs to knock some sense back into him. In a flash, with his next step, he appears before him, grabbing his friend by the face and crashing him through moondrags, and he lands outside in the hall before being thrown to the floor once again. Don't you dare call me that like it's gonna stop me. As he tumbles and eventually stops, Junpei, with anger in his voice, releases his Shikigami again. What the hell do you know? Like I said, this has nothing to do with you! He fires the tendrils of the jellyfish towards Yuji, who explodes his cursed energy forward, and the moment the two forces make contact, the Shikigami is converged onto one point behind Junpei, who in shock turns and sees a floating folder. What the? You shouldn't take your eyes off your opponent. Right as he turns, he's smashed through a window and crashes onto a roof, and he tries to summon moondrags again but feels no presence. But Yuji then lands right before him and pulls back, summoning a folder as he then throws it. Moondrags. The folder curves right as it's almost about to hit him and then shatters, releasing a copy of a Shikigami, which throws about its massive tendrils, tearing through the roof and sending Junpei flying back into the halls through another window. By this point, he had already sustained enough damage and was not a natural fighter to begin with, so he was kind of screwed. Why are you stopping me, Itadori? Yuji jumps back through the window and lands. You can't just go around killing people. I don't care. People don't have a heart to begin with, so it doesn't matter. Wait, you're still on about... There's no way those bastards have hearts. Why did my mom have to suffer? What did we do? Why am I being cursed for just existing? Explain that to me, Itadori. Fuck doing the right thing. As he breaks down, Yuji gets very teary-eyed, realizing he was not truly listening. So he chose to do so now as he approached him and knelt down. Okay, I'm sorry. You can curse me as much as you want later, but for now, I'll listen. I just want to listen. Junpei had no other options, so he poured his heart out, and in exchange, Yuji was able to finally understand his pain, and he doesn't even blame him for doing this to begin with. Come with me, Junpei, to Jujutsu Tech. It's where I'm learning. Like, there are a lot of strong people there. My friends are there. My senses are awesome. They'll help you, and we'll find who did this to... Junpei then notices the avert of his gaze and turns as well to see Mahito making his way down the stairs. Hey there, Sukuna's vessel. Raising his hand, it bulges as he would swing forward, aiming to swat Itadori, who scowls as Mahito's smile disappears, upon being stopped by the boy's one hand with ease. He hadn't even put any strength into this. It was you. As he stands, Yuji with all his might pushes back his arm as it crashes through the staircase above, opening up for a black flash which is struck into Mahito's stomach, bashing him through the wall behind as he gags on his own blood. Mahito, wait, don't hurt him. Junpei was him. He's a curse. The same curse that me and my senpai have been chasing this entire time. Junpei's eyes widen as he cannot believe it, but slowly and surely, he begins to realize that he's been deceived this entire time. It nearly makes him hurl that he even let such a thing near him. Oh my god. My mom, you bastard! Mahito's arm was slain back as he laughs in ecstasy, and Yuji shouts for Junpei to run as Mahito fires from his body spikes. Yuji jumps back, avoiding them, but they just keep stretching, so he grabs Junpei and jumps through one of the broken windows. Sorry about this, Junpei. I don't know how it's gonna be. How's what gonna... Before he even finishes his sentence, he's turned to a folder and sent to the archive as Yuji lands in the courtyard sliding and comes to a stop, readying for a battle. Mahito just leaps through the same window and fires a massive revolving drill from his arm, but it's too slow for Yuji, who upon making contact with this freezes Mahito as he's unable to move and begins to fall. Yuji lands on his outstretched arm and runs on it, pulling back, and upon reaching his face, kicks him with a black flash, bloodying and crushing his nose and teeth. The wave of lightning carries and crashes Mahito through a wall once again. Despite feeling such pain, the curse cannot even twitch in pain, and Yuji stretches, waiting for it to get up so he can thoroughly thrash it again. Eventually, Mahito does get up and tries to catch his breath. 2 hits. Just 2 hits from him left me like this. Did he just pull off 2 consecutive black flashes? It's almost like he's doing it consciously. I know what you're thinking, and I can, Yuji says. The sorcerer quickly blitzes him and knocks him away with an uppercut to his liver right as he transforms, turning his torso to a net, but he freezes, allowing Yuji to throw him into the fucking floor with a hook to his face. God, I hate this guy. Another black flash occurs. This time he crashes through the wall behind, and then through another and another and another, landing in a classroom. I can't. Why can't I move? As he struggles to do so, the fist of Yuji approaches from above. This is when Mahito feels it. The press of death. So this is it. Right as Yuji makes contact, the domain of Mahito is unraveled as he finds himself standing in his palm, and he looks forward. Yoiki Tenkai. Chihei Endonka. Instantly getting into a stance, Yuji clashes his fists together. Yoiki Tenkai. The confident cursed is flashed by a bright light as his domain is overtaken in an instant, leaving him in a world of nothingness as he finds that he now stands on a black box. As a matter of fact, there are many of these black boxes floating about everywhere, and each one contains something Yuji's archive has analyzed. Ever-expanding archive. You're dead. Pulling back his fists, he slams them together again as 2 boxes crash into Mahito, and the sound of a lock closing is heard. Yuji's ever-expanding archive allows him to express his ability better and attack your soul. The moment the boxes grab and takes a hold of you, you are trapped there and forced to bear the weight of the souls you've taken in your lifetime. This isn't dependent on how much you've killed or who you've killed. Your soul is being directly attacked regardless of your subconscious, if it's not found to be plagued by like horrible things that you've done. It's just that the deaths kind of accumulate and like make the pain worse. However, just like his technique, this is not just, the whole ability of the domain. There are 3 main abilities. This is just one of them. The boxes then suddenly disappear. Mahito is left a bloody mess, barely hanging on to life, and in classic Itadori fashion, he moves in, jumping on boxes after boxes, striking him with the left, right, good night, and just like that, it's lights out as his domain disappears, returning them to the school. You better hope we don't meet again when you reincarnate. He then turns his gaze up and looks to see a bundle of wood wrap around the 2 individuals that were just watching them and transporting them away. Alright, Junpei. He summons a folder and his shadows dropping Junpei, who falls confused. What happened? I killed it. Was it weird? Couldn't tell you. You literally just called me back as soon as you put me away. At least that's how it felt to me. Well, you learn something new every day. Hey. As they look up, they see another Yuji, and Yuji waves at his clone as it shatters, and Junpei looks at him. What the? Oh, while I was being the curse, I made a clone to go heal the people you poisoned. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, but I can't ever care for those people. I get it. I'm not telling you to care. Just come with me. Yuji Itadori exercises the curse of humanity, Mahito. Junpei Yoshino for attempt of murder is held captive for 3 days. I've analyzed the curse before. What I saw was just disgusting. Just like humans can't help themselves, neither can curses. But that doesn't mean I'm a sucker. He walks with Nanami and Gojo along a hall saying that he's fine with the deaths of the people. Not because it's okay, but because it's already happened. But that doesn't mean I won't find who orchestrated this and kick their fucking teeth in. Well, good to know you're in high spirits, says Gojo. You're gonna have a lot more in your hands. Well, all eyes are on you. Nanami says, I'm sure you can handle it. You're, after all, already a sorcerer. You really think so? It is a personal statement. That makes it even better. Oh, everyone's training. See you later. As he runs out to meet everybody, the two watch him go off, and Nanami says, he told me he'd find a way to exercise Sukuna without dying. Honestly, I don't know if he can. Gojo says, cursed objects can't be destroyed. He should know that. But I hope it's possible. I mean, after all, he's the only sorcerer in history who can use Black Flash on command. Another month passes, and by this point, Junpei had already been indoctrinated into Jutsu Tech, with Gojo having yet another person taken under his protection and saving them from being killed. And honestly, no one really cares that Junpei tried to kill people because he got stopped, and he's not that strong. Like, Yuta was a big deal because he could do damage, but that means his allegiance to Jujutsu rules hangs in the balance, so he is under surveillance since one person could ruin their entire empire. I warned you. Oh, shut up. This fucking hurts. Balled up in a cocoon in a nondescript cave, the curse womb of Mahito slowly develops while he writhes in pain, and Geto just laughs at him. The technique of Yuji Itadori is one even Gojo Satoru could struggle with. If not for Infinity, it wouldn't be an easy feat. Before Mahito was set to go do his plan, because Geto needed his technique later on, he used a binding vow similar to the ones he placed on some in the past. He found a curse rune ready to sprout and gave it a piece of Mahito, and then let that piece of Mahito fester and take over that and essentially become that curse itself. And that part of Mahito acted as a sort of resurrection point, a spawning point, especially since he applied his outer transfiguration to it. This way, his true brain and heart remain here while he could go crazy over there. It's almost like let's put it like this. That Mahito was Mahito, but it was just a clone. That doesn't mean that it was weaker by any standards. Like, he was fighting for his fucking life, and he could still pull off a domain expansion. But this is the true point of Mahito, and that was just an avatar of himself. And it also sucked a lot. Like I said, he's in a lot of pain. This way, his true brain and heart remain there. And like I said, he could go crazy over there. But this allowed him to learn a lesson. Changed from the goofy acting child curse, Mahito had awoken anew. Next time we meet, Yuji Itadori, I'm gonna find your weak point and poke at it till it breaks. Day of the exchange. Kugisaki runs up to her classmates while they were waiting. Wait, where are you guys? You don't have any luggage. What about luggage? Asked Yuji. What do you mean? We're not going to Kyoto? Panda then understands what's going on. Yeah, the exchange is here with our sister school from Kyoto. No wonder conversations have been so off lately. Yeah, sorry. We would have fought at Kyoto, says Maki, but Yuta won the last one, so we have to fight here next. Screw you, Yuta! As Yuji walks over, he puts away her stuff in his archive, saying that he'll have to hold it, while Fushiguro says it's weird to blame Okotsu since she's never even met him. And just then, the Kyoto students arrive on the scene, and the tension between the two groups is clear. Well, all except for Todo. Hello, brother! Oh, so we're brothers now. The teachers arrive just then as well and explain what they'll be doing before everyone retreats to their own places to strategize. You can what? Asked Fushiguro. Well, my technique recognized me fully, so I knew everything about myself, my body. Holding his hands forward, he strikes nonchalantly and releases a black flash, pushing all present against the walls. Again, the details of how this happened are extremely weird. Yeah, that about describes you, Panda says. Also, ow. Kugisaki says, yeah, that tracks. Just tell us next time. Damn. Yeah, my bad. Point is, my skill set's grown a lot. Me and my control reverse cursed energy has to. This is gonna be cake. On the Kyoto side, Gakuganji instructs that everyone be on guard. Though he may be the vessel of Ryomen Sukuna, it is not because of that he is such a terrifying sorcerer. As a sorcerer alone, Itadori Yuji is strong. And you're telling us this because despite all of this, he must be killed. Why would you give us that task? Asked Kambo. If anything, this is just a suicide mission. It is your duty as Jujutsu sorcerers to rid this world of filth. And I am sorry to put this on you. Toto, however, of course objects to this and opens the door, but everyone actually agrees with him this time. They're just too afraid to say to Gakuganji's face. Don't get me wrong, I will fight him, but only because it's going to be a good bout. If you want to kill him so badly, do it yourself, or I'll kill you next time you ask me such a ridiculous thing. Stupid geezer. You throw the word murder around as casual as you want and say it's for order. Fuck off. He marches off in a huff, and the students clear the room to get ready for the fight that's about to take place. While they're waiting for the signal, Mai checks her gun. We're seriously gonna attack him though, she asks. Screw it, we're gonna end up fighting him anyway, says Mekamaru. The voice of Gojo sounds through some speakers just then. Alright, stay safe, you kids, and before we begin, a few words from your favorite Utahime-sensei. Huh? What? I don't, just, and that's all the time we have. Satoru, I swear to God, I will rip your world a fucking sunder. And begin. As they begin to run, we cut to Kyoto as Yuji remarks, yeah, Sensei is super insensitive, huh? Fushiguro replies, yeah, you think? Kyokuken. He summons his black dog, which tracks the smell of a curse, any curse that may be approaching, and they just run through the forest, and eventually, both the dog and Fushiguro stop, signaling everyone that a curse is coming up, but trees are thrown past them, sweeping away the curse as Toto arrives on the scene. Ha! Let's get it, brother! Smacking him as Yuji spins past the Jujutsu sorcerer, Toto is turned to a folder, which he grabs and throws before releasing him as the disoriented sorcerer suddenly has his face planted into the trunk of a tree. I blinked out. What a bizarre technique. He slides and lands quickly, turning as Yuji runs up and stops. Everyone else had already split up, and Yuji breathes in and out as he flows his cursed energy. And as he lunges forward, much like Toto, they clash fists, but Yuji's divergent fist technique acts, knocking back Toto again. As Yuji closes in with a roundhouse kick, he barely blocks. As he's sent flying with a double impact divergent fist once again, Toto, before he crashes into another tree, claps, switching places with Yuji, who barely stops himself and bumps into a tree when suddenly he dodges a bullet and dodges more and more of them, looking up to see Mai in a tree. But mixed in with these bullets, some arrows are thrown, and one that goes past them show a hint of blood on them as he sees Kamo right as Miwa, who was waiting for him behind. Seeing Yuji, steps into her state of drawing style and does a quick sword draw. However, with one hand, Yuji catches this with no trouble, much to the shock of everyone present. Are you guys trying to kill me or something? Miwa struggles to pull back her blade, so Mekamaru drops from above, trying to make the least amount of noise before releasing his Mekamaru cannon, enveloping the sorcerer and knocking back Miwa to the floor as she rolls and quickly stands, putting her blade back in her sheath. As Mekamaru falls towards the smoke and dust cloud, however, a folder fires, scratching his cheek as it pierces the air right as Yuji runs out, gut-checking Noritoshi and putting him to his knees, before throwing something towards Mekamaru and Miwa. This would be another clone who appears behind both, and they sneak them. The other one turned into a clone too, and they sneak them with thunderous blows to their livers. In Mekamaru's case, however, his wires and such just spill out, while Miwa is thrown towards Toto and he catches her. No injuries. You healed them when you struck? Honestly, they're not much of a threat to me, and I'm not here to bully people. Mai doesn't really want to move from this point on, and understands that Yuji is leaving her alone because she is weak and she literally couldn't do anything. Mekamaru, Miwa, and Kamo are holding their stomachs in pain as Yuji struck them with enough reverse cursed energy to keep their organs from rupturing, but not enough to not let them still feel the pain because they still deserve it. They're trying to kill them. Readying his fist for another go, though, Yuji asks Toto if he wants to continue, but Toto says, actually, before he finishes his words, though, we go to the teachers for now. They disqual everyone except Momo, Maya, and Toto from Kyoto, who were just utterly defeated. And Gojo's just like, wow, total wipeout. Remind you of Akotsu. I thought he only had the one technique, says May. His punches are a bit weird. That's not his technique. His first physical punch is a precursor to his cursed energy. He said he used it to like surprise people, but it used to be a lag. Now he does it purposely. Do you guys feel that? Asked Gojo. As he stands, the rest stand with him and they feel a rise in cursed energy. This was because a veil was being pulled over the fighting ground for the students. Kugisaki receives a call from Yuji telling her that he had taken care of most of the members, but says clearly something new was happening. Yeah, kinda guessed that. Me and Panda Senpai are heading to where we began, or as close as it is possible since we have a barrier now. I guess that would be the edge of the barrier. Yeah, that's fine with me, says Yuji. I'll text everyone else. While he cuts the call and does so in their group chat, the Kyoto students begin to gather. Before they can even talk amongst each other, though, they're once again interrupted by a surge of cursed energy, one matching that of a special grade. Yuji began to run in the general direction of this, and Kamo along with the repairing Mekamaru and Toto are doing the same. Those who know that they will not stand a chance do not even try to follow them, as Momo would drop from the sky to help out her female members. However, when the group found the curse, they seemed to be high up on the roof, and from that roof erupts a wave of roots and trees, nearly crashing into them. But while Kamo and Mekamaru jump to avoid it, Yuji and Toto land on it and run along the path. How you want to do this? Asked Toto. Oh no, I'm just moving on instinct here. Ha, as expected of you. Just then they reach the top, both jumping and throwing a kick and punch respectively at Hanami, who has Maki ensnared in a binding of wood, while Inumaki's crushed throat hindered him from even helping out. He was just there. A spark of black would explode into Hanami's face, sending her flying into the forest behind, while Toto's punch severed the wood binding Maki and thus freeing her. She lands and regains balance. That bastard, I didn't get a good hit in. As Yuji gets this footing right, he quickly chases after Hanami along with Toto, who suggests something. Hanami meanwhile manages to stop herself and treats her wounded torso when, past them, a rock covered in cursed energy is thrown and Yuji switches places with it. He promptly then manages to touch Hanami, freezing her as a countdown of 12 seconds began, but Toto began to fall down from the sky and dropped a kick into Hanami's shoulder, tearing into it right as Yuji strikes a divergent fist into her back. Something about this guy. I don't know, maybe it's the way he moves, but fighting with him makes things clearer, thinks Yuji. Though Yuji is very aware of his ability to handle this solo, he sees this as a chance to develop and grow for the future, as the synergy between him and Toto is immense. As they continue to knock the curse around, she's sent into the air and finally begins to regain feeling in her body. And in anger, she fires down a downpour of relentless attacks, which the boys again face head on as they run along the path laid out aiming for her. Along the way, spikes and traps nearly get them, but they move and dodge masterfully, warning one another until they reach and strike at her face with a double black flash. The lightning fuses and smashes Hanami's brains to mush as a shockwave spreads through the air, pushing them back as the path of roots instantly just disappears. Curse exercised. The body of Hanami slowly falls while turning to ash until nothing remains, and just then, a break in the veil occurs as a falling Toto and Yuji look up, seeing Gojo Satoru. Satoru himself felt the change in Yuji, in that his cursed energy had grown quite tremendously. I guess there's not much left for me to do. With such a bizarre upset to this event, along with the Star Corridor having been infiltrated, as they find out later on, there were traces of transfiguration having taken place there as well, and this news reaches Yuji, whose face turns blank as he faces Gojo alone in his room the day after everything was over. What? You need a moment? Putting his hand to his chin, Yuji begins to stroke it, thinking. Understanding cursed energy more in himself means he understands how the energy can be tricked to work in your favor, and also he's analyzed a bit of the knowledge that Sukun has gathered in his lifetime, so he's starting to get that instinct for this type of stuff. He's trying to figure out how it was possible for a curse to revive because he's sure he exorcised them. Cursed womb. What? That's how they must have done it. I mean, I'm guessing whoever's helping these curses has to be human because no curse knows about cursed energy like we do. And the only way I can think of them to revive is to leave a part of their soul, their essence, in something allied to a cursed womb. I mean, that guy could literally make copies of himself and do anything with his body. It's possible. Jojo is surprised. You know, I thought you'd be more angry than this. Glad you're taking it so well. Well, I'm extremely pissed, but at this point, what's a few extra layers of trauma? I already have a demon inside me. I like your theory though. If you wanted to stop this revival, that's a different story. You'd have to cut the connection directly. Try increasing your positive energy output. You're saying that so casually. As he begins to leave, Gojo says, well, I'm trusting it'll be easy for you. And don't worry over it too much. You'll go bald. If you need me, I'll be out getting snacks. He teleports away just as Fushiguro and Kugisake come down the hall in normal clothes, peeking into his room. Oh, Mr. Gloomy over here, says Kugisake. Yuji chuckles. Please, that's Fushiguro's job. Shut up, I didn't say anything. You're gonna watch a movie. You coming? Yeah. Let's try Human Worms 3. Fushiguro and Kugisake both shout no, because it's a terrible movie, and this kind of gets Yuji down. How will Kenjaku use this revival mechanism he's discovered? And will this change the outcome of the Shibuya incident? Find out in the next part of Jujutsu Kaisen. Hope y'all enjoyed this. It's been your boy. I am back. And peace. I'll be back again next week, probably. I'm gone.
Yeah, you better listen. I'm bringing heat. You'll be a fan when I start rapping. Way I'll have your fucking head spinning. I'm known as spit vicious. Release bombs and go tick tick. Boom, you blown me that head missing. I'm a phenomenon. Stacking cheese like it's Parmesan. 8 different flows, call me Octomom. I'm moving fast like the Autobahn. And I'm independent, so I'm not your fucking starving like it's Ramadan.